Okay. So I just have to say, okay, welcome everybody. That it pops up these different windows that I have to look at and make them go away so I can see what I'm doing. So welcome, welcome, welcome to this Venus Alchemy presentation on the wisdom of the Capricorn Venus cycle, that we connect with the circle of grandmothers and their sage wisdom. And oh my gosh, this is exactly where Venus Alchemy started. We'll talk about that in a moment. And this particular cycle is so exciting. But what we want to do is begin with with a prayer to the grandmothers. And so Sheridan, if you can pull that screen up. And what I want to invite everyone to do is just to help bring ourselves into this space, into the ceremonial space, that everything we're going to be saying about Venus and the cycle and the grandmothers and all of that will be overseen by the circle of grandmothers. And I invite you to just maybe put your hands on your heart and your belly, whatever feels comfortable to you, and allow yourself a gentle breath into your belly, just to bring yourself even more present, not that you're not already present, but bring yourself even more present into this moment. And if you want to say this prayer with me behind your muted microphone, feel free to do that, or otherwise you can just allow these words to land for you in whatever way is best for you at this time. So here we go. Grandmothers, wise and loving ones, you who know the ways of love, the ways of peace, the ways of cooperation and collaboration, the ways of our home planet, Mother Earth, the ways of the rivers, lakes, and oceans, the ways of the trees, the plants, and animals, the ways of birth, growth, death, and rebirth, the ways of the planets and stars, the ways of light and dark, and the gifts of each, the ways of the natural cycles, including the ways of the sun and the moon through the seasons, the ways of sustainability and responsible stewardship, the ways of joyful living in balance and harmony with all life, the ways of duality within great mystery, teaching us to be all we can be, the ways of magic and alchemy, the ways of time, creating new, wise, and sustainable timelines, the ways of inspired action, creating more love, more joy, more brilliance, the ways of health and well-being that vibrate with the power of love. Sacred grandmothers, guide me to learn these wise ways, so I bring forth the new earth within me, benefiting all life everywhere. It is done, it is so, and I am grateful. Awesome.
Thank you. I love that so much. Okay, so here's what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be looking at the initiatory journey of Venus and why it is so powerful to work with the Venus cycles. I just have to move this screen, sorry. At ceremony, why it is so powerful to work with the Venus cycle is ceremony. The current Capricorn cycle, the wise sage, grandmother goddess, and the power of collective intent, and why this Capricorn metacycle of Venus is so special and significant.
Oh yeah, we got some good stuff for you.
Yeah.
So just for those of you who may be new to what we're doing here, just to give you a little bit of background, Tammy Brunk and I, and Tammy is here, pictured here, we're with Sekhmet behind us. And she's also, let's see, I'm here and she's here in this image above when we were at Faywood Hot Springs back in 2015. We started the Venus Alchemy in 2014, not knowing what the heck we were doing whatsoever, but just got this strong guidance to just lead this ceremonial journey through Venus. Tammy had done it with groups. I had done it with people that I was mentoring and working with, and had done it for myself. And so we decided it would be a really fun thing to do. Now, what was interesting is, as we were doing this cycle, and we were just thinking we'd do it like a one-time thing, but everybody kept saying, you are going to do all this more, right? You're going to keep doing this, right? We were like, I guess we are. We're going to keep doing this. So pretty cool. Now, when we started this, we were basing it off the work that has been created by Daniel DeMario and the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School, working with the Venus cycle since the mid-90s. And in fact, when I was introduced to this cycle in the mid-90s, it turned out I was in my Venus return, my age 40 Venus return that starts when I'm 38 and then goes until I'm 40, just a little past my 40th birthday. So everybody will have a different time, and we'll look at some dates of when people are maybe that are on this call now might be in their Venus return as we go. So anyway, this will be the first Venus return for Venus Alchemy. Like we got the idea in January of 2014. We had 3 weeks before we had to do the first class. And when we put it out there, we had like 65 people sign up within that first 3 weeks. And we had over 100 people by the end of that time. And it just keeps growing has just been growing from there. So pretty cool.
So cool. I'm so honored to be joining and Venus.
Oh, so great to have you.
Okay, so this initiatory journey is about actively attuning to the divine feminine within and around you, understanding the importance of working with in ways that benefit all life, learning how to see the light in the darkest, most challenging places, listening to the call or the invitation to reconnect with our ancestral ways of communing with the earth and sky, intentionally liberating blockages to your chakras and reclaiming your rightful power within each one, and discovering the ancient power of working ceremonially with Venus individually, along with the exponential power of the collective group, right? There's just so much that this journey does for all of us, and we're going to learn more in all these different pieces, parts as we go through it.
Yes, and again, so for those of you, some of you, I know have been our longtime fans, and we love you so much. And of course, we love everybody who's now joining us for the first time as well. That the Venus cycle, every 8 years, Venus comes back to a starting place. We kind of alluded to that, talking about how 8 years ago we started Venus Alchemy, and now this is the first Venus return for Venus Alchemy. So it comes back to nearly the same place. It's within a day or two when it comes back. So I think it was January 16th in 2014, and it's January 14th in 2022. So, and maybe it's January 12th in 2030 when it happens again. So it's usually within a day or two it comes back. And the reason that it takes about 8 years for it to come back is that there are 5 19-month synodic cycles of Venus every 8 years, creating the 5-pointed star that you can see over my shoulder. We're going to see it again too. And that each of these points of the pentagram are rising in a different seasonal point. And currently, this is happening in Capricorn, Leo, Pisces. It'll be the first time in Pisces in 2025, Libra, and Gemini. And so we look at those as the overarching theme of the divine feminine and the collective psyche of humanity during that 19-month cycle. So of course, this one will be Capricorn. We also like to call her the meta goddess, the larger goddess on the world stage at any given time. And then just as you'll have access to these slides. So if you don't have time to really look at this and figure out if you're in a Venus return, but if you were born between any of these dates, then, and basically it shifted to Capricorn. It was in Aquarius up until 1967, and then it rose in Capricorn in 1974 and has been rising in Capricorn ever since. And so if your birthday falls within these dates, like an 8 birthday, so 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, 80, 88, 96, and 104, if you're going to be turning any of those ages in between January 14th of 2022 and August 18th of 2021, you are in a Venus return, one of the 8-year Venus returns. And this is a powerful initiatory cycle worth your time and attention. Anything you want to add to that, Sheridan?
No, I just want to say, as we go through all of this as well, that that if you're new to the Venus cycle, don't worry if you're not going to catch every little thing, right? Because this presentation is for some people that have been with Venus Alchemy for the whole entire 8 years. And then also for you that are new, we're going to be doing an introduction to the Venus cycle video actually tomorrow, and we will send that out to you. So don't worry if you don't catch every little piece part as we go through this presentation. You're going to learn and understand all of this as we go through in time. So just take the pressure off and just get what you got out of it.
Exactly. And one of the things I want to say is that you don't have to be in a Venus return to get a lot of benefit from really working with the cycle ceremonially. And you don't need to do it with us or the group or however, whatever works for you. Working with the cycle is so powerful. It is life-changing. And Sheridan and I both mentioned that in our little 8-minute video we did on introducing the cycle. So, so if you have a lot of Capricorn on your chart, maybe you don't know, maybe you don't have any idea, or this just feels like something that's calling to you and you'd like to join us, we'd love to have you, or you just like to do it on your own, then we encourage everyone, because the more of us that become aligned with these mysteries and working with them, especially with the grandmothers, then the faster we're going to create the changes this world so desperately needs.
Yes. Amen. Yeah. Okay, so as Kaylin said, every 19 months, the Venus cycle, it begins a new synodic cycle, just coming back to that same place that it was in the sky. And every 8 years, Venus returns to a starting point near the solar birthday, right? So that's just what she was talking about before, like when she said it was January 16th, and this time it's January 14th, and in 8 years, it'll be January 12th, right? So 5 synodic cycles of Venus equals 8 years. And over the 8 years, it makes this star, this pentagram. So you can see these dates written in here of when the next or previous cycles were. And here we are, January 14th, 2022, 15 Capricorn. This is the new cycle that's starting in just a few days, right? Then it'll move to Leo, then it moves to Pisces, a new time, first time in Pisces, then over to Libra, then to Gemini, and it comes back to Capricorn and it starts again, right? And here are the ages that Kaylin was talking about in the last slide of if you're having a personal Venus return this particular cycle, if you're turning these dates and ages within this. But even if you're not, it's not my Venus return this time. It's a powerful initiation process to go through together with the divine feminine, and we'll dive into all of that and more. Anything you want to add?
Oh, just loving the opportunity that we have to share this with everybody. And if you aren't born within these dates, or you're not turning a multiple of 8 within these dates, then you're not in a personal Venus return, but you could still have it affect you. And I think somebody asked, they have a moon in Capricorn, so how would this affect them? And what my sense of it is that when you have Capricorn planets, regardless of whatever they are, it's because it's emphasizing the Capricorn mysteries, that helps you to understand them in a deeper way, in a more profound way. It helps to clear the blocks that might be in the way of you experiencing this archetype in its more pure essence, rather than some of the distorted things that have happened due to our cultural misunderstanding of whatever it might have been, whatever our cultural misunderstanding might have been. So, so it can be really powerful to work with the cycle. If you have that, if you have strong Saturn on your chart, because that adds like a lot of Capricorn to whatever it might be. Those are some other reasons. And sometimes people just really want to connect with the grandmothers and our inner grandmother. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more as we go along.
Yes. And Tina Maria, you asked what about age 40? And I saw Carolina answered you, but yes, 40 should be on this slide too. We missed that.
Oh, missed it.
Yeah. There we go. Thanks for letting us know. We will fix that slide. Okay, so this image is going to show the constellations where Venus is rising as the morning star. So you saw in the last image the pentagram that gets created, the 5-pointed star. But this is going to show you here on this slide in particular. So this is looking at the sky and where these risings are happening, where the sun, where Venus is at the time she moves enough away from the sun to rise in the morning sky. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, just that, you know, because Venus is rising, we're going to talk a little bit more about this in the constellation we call the Archer, also sometimes called Sagittarius, but that gets confusing because it's not the seasonal sign of Sagittarius, it's the seasonal sign of Capricorn, that where Venus is rising. So this is just showing you that it's not always in the constellations that we might think, because the signs, the seasons move through the constellations 1 degree every 72 years. And over 26,000 years, every season will be with every constellation. So it's better to call them different names. And that's why this the backdrop is showing the name of the constellations, not the name, except that I noticed that I put Scorpio in instead of Scorpion. Oh, you know, all the little details that we sometimes miss, especially as Mercury's getting ready to go retrograde.
Yeah. And the main reason why I put this slide in was because when I first came to Venus Alchemy and was learning, I thought, oh, it's so cool, it makes that pentagram, but I didn't understand what that actually meant in the sky. So I threw this in here so you could see it makes this pentagram the way that it moves through the actual sky that we're looking at every night outside. So that's part of why that's there, to be able to see that. So the Capricorn, sorry, I've got some windows in the way here. The Capricorn goddess morning star journey, which goes from January 14th, right, when Venus will rise in the morning sky, through to September 14th, when Venus meets up with the sun and goes into the underworld. This Venus Inanna spends 8 months as morning star, descending into the underworld and releasing all distortions, blocks in the way of her expressing her masterfully wise, authentic self. This occurs at each monthly Venus moon conjunction, symbolizing the chakra gates as described in the tale of Inanna. So Venus in the morning sky will come together with the moon. Each of those conjunctions is Venus moving through these different chakra gates from the crown down to the root and even below over this 8-month period. And that's what we're talking about here. Then the Capricorn goddess evening star journey, which is the next part of the cycle, which is from December 1st to August 14th of 2023, right? So we're covering the whole 19 months. Over these 8 months, Venus evening star reclaims her authentic, wise goddess self, ascending through the chakras represented by the monthly Venus moon conjunctions, symbolizing her ability to reclaim a healthy relationship with each chakra center. So the Venus cycle ends and begins again August 19th of 2023 with the Leo radiant self-love meta-goddess on the world stage until March of 2025. So we have the morning star, then the evening star in Capricorn, and the descent, we clear through the chakras going down. Then on the ascent in the evening star, we reclaim the power, the clarity, the fullness of our chakras coming back up. And then in 19 months from now, the next cycle in Leo will start again.
Yes, beautiful. And somebody was asking about, they have a friend whose birthday was right on the day that Venus was rising as morning star. I'm not sure, I lost the chat question exactly, but I just want to say that sometimes there can be a straddling between the two, especially if you have Venus retrograde, especially if it was with the sun or close to or very close to heliacal rise, but not quite there yet. And so that's a whole other conversation that may be too complicated for us here at this time. I just want to say that, yes, you can be straddling two Venus cycles. And I think what I recommend people do is to really feel into what feels most alive and speaking to their soul and to their journey as to which one to engage. So,
but you can definitely participate consciously with both, regardless of whether you're in your Venus return or not, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's that, I think the greatest alchemy, we call the in between alchemy time, is when Venus is retrograde. Either, and you know, and making it more challenging to determine which cycle am I really in. So, but you could work with both. I like working with all of them personally. So, you know, there's that. Anyway, what I want is, this is a document, the top part of the document that people get when they take the class with us, that has all the gates and all the significant timings listed, so that you can track it yourself. You can print it and track it yourself. So it's a one-page document, but I only had room for this much of it. Anyway, and there's also some details. I put in the last cycle, so people could see how close it is on that, and also the some of the details we're going to talk about now. Some of the special events that are taking place are also in this document.
Okay, so the current Capricorn Venus cycle, which begins in just a few days and ends in August of 2023, which we just covered, is about the circle of grandmothers, right? It's featuring the wisdom keeper goddesses such as Kalish or the crone or Hecate, Baba Yaga, Sedna, Nana Buluku, right? And many others, right? These crone goddesses, that is what that Capricorn energy is all about. She is the wisdom teacher. She is an elder energy who cares for the generations to come, right? Always has her view on how will this serve the generations to come, not just right now in this moment. She is the grandmother earth. She is the sage who reminds us to care for the earth and each other. Her most potent medicine is inspired wisdom, showing us who we truly are. And this is the energy that is available to us. This is the intention over this 19-month cycle. However much, whatever part of it you join us for, is to connect into this grandmother crone energy outside of us with Venus, but also more importantly, within each one of us, regardless of your age.
And we're really excited because Sheridan and I got inspired to look at some current grandmother crone energy, really also reclaiming the word crone, meaning crown, or meaning, you know, something other than what it's been told to us that it means. And we're going to look at 5 specific women, and we'll post that video. So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and you click the notification bell, you'll get notified when that happens, but we'll also send out an email when when that video is complete. So we're really, really excited about it. And I know I'm really excited about all of them, but especially the ones I did.
Yeah. All right. Yes.
Okay, so here are some of the very rare events that are happening with this particular Venus cycle. And interestingly, of course, we'll look at when it happened last and when it'll happen next, but starting in December, on December 11th and December 25th, Venus and Pluto came together. And then we'll come together again on March 3rd. So there's this triple conjunction of Venus and Pluto in Capricorn. And this hasn't happened since 1770. And 1771. Now, one of the things that's interesting is if you notice the symbol for Venus and you notice the symbol for Pluto, there's actually quite a lot of similarity between them. And Pluto, although considered a male god, is actually feminine and is the dark goddess Ereshkigal from the story of Inanna, Hecate, Kalish, Sedna, Spider Woman. All the dark goddesses are connected to Pluto. And so to have 3 conjunctions with Pluto is deepening this and taking us into a place where we are truly dying to all the ways that the Capricorn goddess has been judged, maligned, you know, not appreciated, supported, honored, or revered in the way that she should be. So I feel like this is marking a shift, a major shift that has been coming for a long time, but it's going to really up the ante on that shift as we go through this particular cycle. Now, what's interesting is on the 3rd of March, the conjunction is at 27 Capricorn and 50 minutes. Now, what that means is there's 30 degrees in a sign, 27 degrees, it's, you know, getting towards the end of the Capricorn sign. There's 60 minutes in a degree, so it's almost 28 Capricorn. But what's really fascinating is that it's at the US Pluto, United States Pluto, has Pluto and Capricorn at 27:33. So it's going to be only 17 minutes from being precise. So we have Venus and Pluto coming together on the US natal Pluto. This is just so mind-blowing. It's just like something big is being set up for the whole world. It's not just the US, but it's the whole world in terms of the opportunity we have to die to what isn't working so we can be reborn to what is. And that is the Venus journey in and of itself. And that is Pluto, always here to empower us. But first we have to die to what doesn't work, or we have to release and surrender to what doesn't work. So the only other time this could have happened recently was in 2013 and 2014, when we started the Venus cycle then. And I wasn't even aware then about thinking or noticing that the fact was that Venus passed Pluto on November 15th at 10 Capricorn in 2013. And then in 2014, Venus stationed at 13 Capricorn within a degree of Pluto at 12 Capricorn on January 30th. And so it was almost a double conjunction, pretty close, but definitely not a triple conjunction. So that means that the spotlight then is on this particular Venus in Capricorn cycle in terms of the immense power and opportunity we have to really step into a new way of being, especially from the perspective of the wise elder that lives within us, the wise grandmother, the wise crone, the wise woman who's within us, energy. And anything that's in the way of that, gonna get cleared.
And I love too that it's like with Pluto and Venus being so important together in this cycle, is that it's a way, it's an opportunity for all of us to just transform the way we look and feel and connect with our inner sage, our inner wise woman inside, because it tends to be something that we judge, or we should ourselves, or it should be a different way, right? It's the part that we tend to not honor. And I feel like this is giving us such an opportunity to stop, transform how we interact with that part, and stop all that like shoulding and all of that kind of stuff, and help us to trust our own inner guidance and inner wisdom more and more.
Yeah, to really honor and embrace our inner grandmother, our inner wise one, our inner crone, however we want to call her, whatever feels right for you to call her. She is within you and she knows, and she's been guiding you all along. But I think sometimes we're not listening.
Yeah. Exactly.
For whatever reasons. And I know I have not listened at times. So
yeah.
I'm guilty of that. And so I'm really seeing this as an opportunity to deepen that way of being and listening to my knowing. That sometimes there's many times I wished I had listened.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. Yep. So now the last time this happened was, as I mentioned, in 1770 and 1771. So that was about 250 years ago if we're calculating from 1770 to 2022. But if we calculate it to 2014, it was 243 years ago. And we'll talk, especially in the video we're going to do on the Venus cycle, we're going to talk about the importance of the number of 243, because that's the magic number for Venus. And it happened at 15 Capricorn, so very close to where it is now in 1770. And then in 1771, it was at 17 and 18 Capricorn when this happened on January 12th and February 18th. And so the reason that they can only come together in Capricorn every 250 some years, sometimes it's 245, sometimes it's less, is because Pluto takes 248 years to return to a starting place. And so then Venus can come back and join up with Pluto again in that time period. So that's why this is such a rare event. And interestingly, what was happening when this happened in 1770 and 1771 was it was the run-up to the American Revolution. So what revolution are we in the run-up to now?
Yeah. So interesting, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah. Are you ready for the next slide?
Yep.
Okay.
So in the next time this will happen will be in 2264 and 2265, 243 years from 2022. And there'll be a triple conjunction again. Now, the other thing to note in terms of how, so we won't have this happening, but it will also be the last time we have the Capricorn cycle in this point of the pentagram is 2069. And then also because of the, the turning of the ages, the turning of the wheel of time, the turning of the seasonal cycles with the December solstice sun at galactic center, or on the galactic cross near galactic center. The window, the large 144-year window is 1926 to 2070. So that means that this is the last time we'll have Venus and Pluto when it's this close to the galactic alignment. Wow. No, they're not that close, as we'll see, but because Venus is rising with a certain star that is activating the galactic center, we'll see that that's important. So anyway, we won't have this again in our lifetime. Bottom line. And also worth noting is that on January 14th, Mercury is going retrograde at 10 Aquarius, and it's going to station direct on February 3rd, and within 3 degrees of Pluto, and Venus will be within 13 degrees of Pluto. So not only do we have Venus and the Venus and Pluto thing going on, we've got Mercury having already been past Pluto, and it's coming back again to be with Pluto, and it's going to station very close, and then it'll pass it 2 more times actually. So Mercury is also in the mix here, adding to the intensity and magnificence of this time to create changes that maybe we haven't even fully imagined yet.
As well as then Mercury will be starting its new cycle in Capricorn as well, right? So it's all this Capricorn, Pluto, so much going on around all of this.
Yes, beautiful. Yeah, so then for the next 4 months or so, then the larger theme for Mercury will be Capricorn. Yeah, I mean, wow, such an amazing, and it's just so mind-blowing. I just, even as I think about it, I just get these full body chills rushing through my body, like, whoa, I know something big is coming.
Yes. And just a reminder for those of you that are new, don't worry if you aren't getting all of this information yet. It doesn't matter. Just pick up the pieces that you can. And like I said, we're going to be making an introductory video tomorrow that you'll get. That's just all the introductory information about the Venus cycle, as well as we will continue to go through this information in the classes to come. So you will get it more and more.
And I want to just say thank you for saying that, Sheridan, because I heard this information many, many times before I actually got it. But I didn't have to understand it to know it was important, to know that it was singing to me in some way. Yes. And that's why I kept coming back and learning more.
Exactly. Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So on January 14th, 2 days from the time we are recording this, Venus is rising with the stars Nunki and Vega. And the next time this happens will be in 2030. And Venus will, and of course by then, Pluto's no longer in Capricorn, it's in Aquarius. So we'll be done with that part of it, but we'll still have another opportunity that will happen in 2030. And what's interesting is that because Venus is rising around 15 and a half Capricorn, and it, or 15 Capricorn, and then Vega is around 15.5 Capricorn. They're going to make their exact conjunction on February 14th. And so the whole thing with Vega, well, we'll look at more about Vega in just a minute, but it's one of the Bohemian stars, one of the magical stars of the ancient alchemists. And they would do their ceremonies, make their talismans, elixirs, star bundles, star shields, whatever they were doing to create their magic when a planet was within 6 degrees of one of those stars. And so Venus is within 6 degrees of Vega for a really long time, and it's rising almost precisely with Vega now. So if you want to work with that particular star, and we'll share more about the star in a moment. Now, Nunki is also very important, and it'll actually be closer in 2030. It's not a Bohemian star, but it's on the ecliptic. And so we'll talk more about these stars as we go along here. And also, just so you see that the, you probably can't see me pointing, but the difference between Venus and Vega, because Vega is a circumpolar star, is quite a bit of difference. So they don't look close, but they are zodiacally aligned.
Yes.
And if you don't know what that means, that's okay.
Yeah. And if you want to learn more about all of these magical Bohemian stars, Kaylin has a whole class that she teaches with Eric Roth available as well. And it's amazing. I'm taking it right now. So
thank you.
Yeah.
It's really fun. Okay. So 243 years from now, Venus is going to rise as morning star on January 17th, 2265 at 17 Capricorn. And again, 8 years later on January 14th at 14 Capricorn. And Vega will be around 19 Capricorn and Nunki around 16 Capricorn. So you can see the stars don't move 1 degree every 72 years, so they don't move that fast. But what's interesting is right now where Venus is rising with these stars is it's this galactic alignment, and Nunki is a star that is like the vein of the arrow. It's called the vein of the arrow, and it's pointing right at galactic center. And you can see how close Venus is from both of these images here, how close Venus is to Nunki. And so the last time Venus rises as morning star in this Capricorn point, I mentioned this already, is going to be December 31st of 2069. And it'll be at 0 Capricorn. Then the next time it rises 8 years later, it will be in Sagittarius, like the last degrees of Sagittarius, because the rising points move backward through the signs. And so that in 2069, it'll be really close to the galactic cross, something that doesn't happen very often. And then, and so the rising of Venus in 2030 will be the closest one to Nunki within the context of nearly 26,000 years. It's really close this time. We're getting like a preview of what it's going to be like in 2030 with Nunki now. Okay, yeah, so good with that.
So it's extra special that Venus is rising with Nunki, and we're going to learn its connection with Vega and what these mean. It's just extra special energy that's infusing this particular cycle. So
here's an imagery of the stars that mark the arrow of the archer. And this is the vein of the arrow, Nunki. And on January 2nd, sorry, we had a new moon right with Nunki. Now we couldn't see Nunki because the sun was there, and but that was the way we started this new year. And what's interesting about this is the vein of the arrow, Nunki, is the only star in our night sky that still has a Sumerian name. And of course, we modeled the Venus cycle after the Sumerian telling of Inanna's descent into the underworld and ascent from the underworld. So it feels also really significant that we have one of the names left of the only one left of the Sumerian names of the star being a major player in this particular cycle. And so the vein of the arrow is a release point, and it sends all the old energy to the galactic cauldron, where it can be renewed in the heart of the galaxy, energizing the wisdom of the heart to transform Earth's destiny. it's the transformational cauldron. So it's pointing right at galactic center. And so that arrow is like, that's our opportunity. We can release that. And we have plenty of time to do that over the next, because Venus is retrograde, is going to come back by Nenki again. We'll have plenty of time to do that. But it's really, we've definitely been feeling the activation of the star for a while. So this is highlighting the importance of the powerful alchemy, the wisdom of releasing and letting go, sending our distortions into the alchemical cauldron of galactic center. And the sun does pass the star every year on the 2nd or 3rd. And of course it was the 2nd this year. And there's also a series of moon occultations that happen every few years that go over Nenki, and we're in a time of that too. So interestingly, on the first Venus moon gate on January 29th, it's also a moon occultation over Nenki. And that will help with the releasing of any distortions around the crown chakra. Or the crown.
Amazing.
The crown is the crown. So the crown chakra. So this is just like, we just can't make this stuff up.
Seriously, it's like, it's also, I mean, every time we like learn more about it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, so
right.
Powerful.
There is a divine plan unfolding. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank Goddess.
Yes, thank Goddess.
Anyway, so in the book, Starlight Elixirs and Cosmic Vibrational Healing, a book that I was gifted back in the 1990s, I think it's out of print, but it's an amazing channeled book about the stars. And they talk about Nenki, and they say, this is a star directly seated by the center of the galaxy, because of course it's pointing to the center of the galaxy, and emanating from the galactic center where creative force originates, stimulating a new contextual view, a new idea, or a remembrance of an old idea, now brought into form in a new way. And so this is very much a part of the theme that we'll be looking at going forth into the cycle, because this is part of the energy that's going to be carried through the whole 19-month cycle. Now Vega, as I mentioned, is one of the magical stars, and it's known as the Vulture Star. And to the Egyptians, she was the goddess Nekhbet. I got to go to Egypt back in 1999 and see Nekhbet in person. Like all of her, places that she's on the temples and over the temple doorways. And our guide told us that we knew we were entering sacred space when Nekhbet was over the doorway. So she was big to the Egyptians. And she's transmitting her mysteries to the earth through any planet aligned in the zodiacal degrees of Vega, meaning Venus rising on January 14th, almost exactly aligned with Vega, so close, so very close, is transmitting these mysteries to us through her in the beginning of the cycle. So this is also being infused into the whole entire 19-month cycle. The sun passes Vega every January 4, 5, or 6, and it's in the constellation of Lyra. It's also, this is the image you see here is the summer triangle, and Vega is one of the stars of the summer triangle. So basically, this happens when the Earth happens to be closest to the sun. January 4th is usually the perihelion date, or the closest approach of the Earth to the sun. So when the sun is with Vega, the Earth is closest to the sun, and the sun is a transmitter transmitting the light of the mysteries of Vega. It's just so amazing that we have this going on, and Venus then coming along a few days later to rise up with Vega. So basically, the potency of the illumination coming to Earth when the sun is aligned with Vega is further magnified due to Earth's closer proximity to the sun. And we're still close. We're still really in that close energy to the sun. And then we could say this is, I just love this is the star that Jodie Foster goes to in Movie Contact. So anyway, yeah, going on to the next. Okay, so the Vulture Star, or the sitting vulture, there's different ways that it's been talked about. Vega So in the Greek myth of Orpheus, he's the musician who attempts to save his beloved from the underworld. And basically, she's not supposed to look back. She looks back, whatever. Anyway, so upon Orpheus's death, because I think he was so distraught that he throws himself in the river or something. Anyway, as a vulture is sent to rescue the lyre out of the river and place it in the sky. Hence why Vega is in the constellation of Lyra. Pretty cool. Now, there are lots of traditions. I've had encounters with Native American traditions that think of vultures as bad omens. They cause bad luck, or they're like messengers of death, and they don't want anything to do with vultures. I've had a very different experience of that, and I personally find vultures to be very amazing because they have the ability to ride the air currents. They don't hunt. Usually they don't hunt. They just look for the dead, and then they turn the dead into, they eat the dead, and that turns it back into life. And so they're considered the golden purifiers. And interestingly, the scientific name, Cathartes aurora, means golden purifier. So vultures turn death into life, cleaning and purifying the environment in the process. And so the vulture medicine with this particular cycle, I think, is composting, transmuting, transforming the ways that the grandmothers, the elder women, the crones, the wise ones have been dishonored and disrespected over the last centuries, and that we can turn that around. We can take that, let it die, and then animate it in a way that is about really reconnecting with the wisdom of the grandmothers. The Iroquois knew this, and they told the founding fathers of the United States, if you do not include the grandmothers, the circle of grandmothers, and consult them for wisdom on important decisions, then you're going to wind up in trouble. Because our U.S. Constitution was based off of the Iroquois Confederacy Constitution. Of course, that they didn't do. And guess what? So here we have this amazing opportunity to now transmute and transform something that got off on the wrong foot all that time ago during this year when Pluto conjuncts the US Pluto 3 times in this cycle. Like, wow, so amazing.
And this aspect of Vega and the Vulture Star, to me, just adds another layering, another validation to how much this Capricorn cycle is about the grandmothers, that ancient wisdom, the honoring and revering of that within us and within each other.
Yes, beautiful. Okay, so vultures live in harmony with the earth. How Capricornian is that? They don't have to work at flying, and they love to soar. We have a lot of vultures where I live in Arizona, and I've been out hiking early in the summer mornings, and they are all like, on the side of the hills and so on, and they oftentimes weren't awake yet when I would walk by them, and then they would start soaring. They just lift off and fly, and they don't have to flap their wings. If they perch high enough, they can just off they go. So they're just like, and they can see the thermals rising up from the earth, and so they know how to catch those thermals and just keep riding those waves, and so it's like bliss for them, bliss to be able to do that. And this suggests that they can assist us in seeing what we may not otherwise see. So we can connect with vulture medicine in that way. And it teaches us to easily connect with the energy at hand for best results, and about the usefulness of seeing subtle energy fields, as well as seeing both multidimensionally and interdimensionally. So the returning power of the divine feminine suggests we are entering a time when the golden purifier divine feminine energy of the vulture as Nekbet, grandmother vulture goddess, is again infusing the earth with new feminine wisdom, especially when Venus is aligned with the star. She begins a new 19-month cycle. So
beautiful.
Yeah. Woohoo!
So the current Capricorn Venus initiatory journey features understanding and honoring the importance of consciously connecting with and celebrating your own inner wise grandmother crone self, whatever term you like to use. We've been saying this. mastering trust in your internal knowing and intuition as it relates to your inner wisdom and the ability to collaborate with the earth, right? That's so much of what Capricorn is all about. Knowing self through cultivating spiritual guidance, accessing the wise sage within, and the guidance coming from the circle of grandmothers, and recognizing we can accomplish far more through sustainable practices that honor and respect the seven generations to follow. And I also just want to say, we've been talking about crones and wise ones, and we've been speaking from that human perspective or goddess perspective, but also the trees, which you see this beautiful tree in this picture. Trees are also that crone, sage, wise, grandmother energy. They've been on the planet so much longer than us and will be here, you know, so much longer after our own individual lives. That's another place that you can really tune into that grandmother wisdom energy, is turning to the trees in your environment as well. I mean, literally, I mean, I teach in my classes, like, go out, sit with the tree, let her teach you and fill you with the knowledge that they have so much to share. So that's another, it doesn't have to just be human or energetic or goddess focused. This Venus journey is this Venus journey as ceremony, and this online journey is for you if you are desiring to experience a deeper sense of profound wisdom, self-love, and personal sovereignty as an expression of the divine feminine within you. You would like to have the support of a ceremonial community from an ancient ceremonial practice that is honoring the divine feminine to support both men and women in connecting with their own inner wisdom and sovereignty, right? This journey is for whatever gender or non-binary you identify with. You are interested in having a direct and personally empowering experience of the Venus cycle in all of her phases and possibilities, encoded with the keys to personal and planetary ascension contained within the story of Inanna or Ishtar. Or you are entering your 8-year Venus return or have a significant Capricorn on your natal cycle. Anything you want to add?
So just to say maybe a little bit more for the men or the masculine gender, is that we all have masculine and feminine. Women have the inner masculine, their inner beloved, their inner, that can be a guide and protector for them. Men have an inner feminine that can also be a guide and wisdom keeper, maybe protector, because they keep them from making stupid decisions if they're tuned into and listening to that. And so it's not about, you know, just for women or just or you know, like the Mars cycle being just for men. We need both of these to really have a greater sense of wholeness within ourselves. And I feel like when we connect into this cycle and the power of, you know, releasing what's in the way and then reclaiming in a healthy way what's really ours, and really, in a sense, reclaiming our true self as a result. How powerful is that? So, yeah.
And just following the whole cycle is really a way of returning to our ancestral roots, right? Because before we had TV or lights, we would all be out under the fire every night, and we would all be collectively following this Venus cycle. We'd be following the cycles of the moon, where the sun is, all of the different planets. And this is an amazing way to start or continue your journey on that, reclaiming your ancestral connection to the land and the sky. That's so much of what the Venus journey has kicked off for me, and I'm so grateful for that.
Well said.
Thank you. So if you join us for the Capricorn, it's Morning Star Ceremonial Journey. You know, we look at these slides over and over, back and forth, but we don't catch all the things that need changing. So Morning Star, and if you would like to join us for the Evening Star Ceremonial Journey as well, what you're going to receive is you'll get 8 monthly live recorded replays of these 90-minute classes with ceremonies at each chakra gate. 8 videos of each chakra gate and how to work with them, guided meditations and invocations, a beautiful PDF handouts with star maps for the Venus gates, chakra information, ceremonial suggestions, etc. Like a lot of this information that Kaylin has so generously shared with us today. Suggested deepening practices or home play of how you can dive into this more deeply within yourself. An option to have a Venus buddy, so someone who's going to go along the journey with you. We have a private Facebook page where you can post your insights or ask questions or get support, as well as see what others are sharing. It's an amazing community. 50-minute bonus video describing the Venus cycle and how it relates to the Inanna story, plus like a million other videos as well. It's like so much more than just one 50-minute bonus video. We're going to record 2 tomorrow. So bonus audio meditations for each gate to support your journey, and Venus audio and PDF package bonus valued at $97. So there's just like as much content as you want to engage with it. Also, don't feel overwhelmed because you can just come to the individual classes as well. So however you want to participate, you'll get so much out of it regardless. Anything you want to add to that?
There was something that was coming through my mind and now, but one of the things that, I guess I could just see what you're seeing here are some altars. One that, because we often suggest that people create a Venus altar to work with during the cycle. So there's some of the ceremonial practices and so on. This is part of it you're seeing here. And that we're very much dedicated to answering your questions, and that's what we're going to do now, actually.
Yes.
So we always have time for some Q&A. We have time for breakout groups. That's something we've added more recently to do breakout groups so people can have a time to connect with more of the community. And so, yeah, so if you have questions, I guess we can open it up for that now.
Yes.
Oh, wait, no, sorry.
One more slide.
Sorry, one more slide. Never mind.
Okay, so if you do want to join us, here's the way that you will go and sign up. You'll go to venusalchemy.com, and under the Venus Alchemy classes, you'll see here, this is for our Capricorn morning star journey that we're talking about. But we also have this Venus signature series offer as well, which is learning more about your own individual Venus and where it was during the cycles and all of that. And then there's a little shortcut you can get to our current journey. And you can also just sign up for our newsletter here if you want to be a part of that. Beautiful. So now, anything else you want to say, Caitlin, before we?
I just want to say, I know there's several people on the call here that are already signed up, and we are so grateful and excited to do this journey with you. And if you'd like to join us, we'll be grateful, and we'll be excited to do the journey with you too.
Yes, it's an amazing experience. I have to say it's like definitely changed and added so much to my life being a part of Venus Alchemy. And I am beyond honored to be one of your co-teacher this time around.
I'm so excited to have you be doing this with me.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, so now we'll open it up, and you're welcome to unmute yourself or raise your hand if you want to share, ask questions, anything, and I'll kind of start perusing the chat, which I definitely didn't catch everything as we were going through it. Feel free to jump in now.
I think there was a question in the chat, but I forgot it already, so I need to look back.
Yeah, I was just going to kind of go back looking through. And if you know what, if we don't, just ask the question again too, because we'd be happy to answer it. And I like this. Nancy wrote, the fact that Pluto in Capricorn is affecting us all so much now makes the Venus in Capricorn cycle powerful for everyone.
It does.
Yes.
Yes. And literally no one on the planet is getting out of Pluto and Capricorn experience.
Yeah, exactly. We're all there.
We're all in it. Yeah.
Pamela was asking, it will be conjuncting my moon. And so I take that since the moon is about emotions, this should help me to lose any current blocks to expressing my love nature. Interesting question. What would you say to that, Kaylin?
Wait, so what was the question again? I'm sorry, I got distracted.
It just said it will be conjuncting my moon. And so I take that since the moon is about emotions, this should help me lose any current blocks to expressing my love nature.
Oh,
There's
so
a
from
lot.
the astrology perspective, we see the moon as your skill set that you're bringing into this life. And so the Capricorn moon challenges often are that you've had to be somebody who took charge and was a leader and had to get things done in the most effective and efficient way and didn't really have a lot of time to be emotional. So yeah, there may be blocks to the emotional experience, who knows? And so whatever is needed, of course, Pluto will bring whatever's needed. This Venus cycle will bring whatever's needed. And ideally, you can let go of the feeling that you have to be responsible for everything. But somehow it's your job to make sure everybody's okay, or to save people or rescue things, or, you know, whatever that might be. So, yeah.
And since it's like kicking off, this cycle is kicking off near your moon, I think like just the whole cycle of going through the chakras, all of that will just be this opportunity of like clearing at each chakra, each way, all of those aspects that Kaylin was just mentioning of, you know, the blockages, the things that's like, you're ready to like let go of and move on to reclaim that full power within yourself as well. So yeah, thanks for asking that, Pamela. Let's see what else. And all of you, feel free to just jump in.
Right? You can unmute yourself. Somebody's asking, what about Lilith and Capricorn? I happen to have Lilith and Capricorn too. So maybe one of the reasons why I have such a strong connection to the Capricorn cycle. So Lilith is the dark goddess, and she's also been one that has been maligned by the dominator culture. So I feel like this will be really great. And maybe one of the things that Sheridan and I will do is explore some of the myth and story around Lilith and how we can help shift that, whatever it is that we carry within ourselves around that aspect of, you know, Lilith just trying to be who she is. And she somehow winds up being made out as the evil bad one.
I love that. And considering my Venus is in the underworld, Venus and Mars in the underworld, I'm all about like, let's, you know, find a new story to connect with the dark goddess, because she's not bad. Ereshkigal is not bad in our story. It's about, right? That's where the death and the rebirth happens. So I love that idea. Yes. We'll continue that going forward.
Right. And, you know, in our crone video that we're about to do, we're looking at at least three of them have underworld Venus. So yes, the dark goddess aspect that's very Lilith-like, even though they may not be their Lilith, but whatever. Anyway, just finding that, I mean, that's amazing.
Yes.
Additional information to consider.
Lisa is asking, with regard to the 26,000 year cycle, how does this align with where we are in the Yuga cycle? Really interesting question. I think it aligns perfectly, personally. We have just entered Age of Aquarius in Dwapara Yuga Bronze Age, so we would still have about 12,500 years to reach the Golden Age. Although it's interesting, some people are even saying that we're going to move from the Yuga, the Kali Yuga, into the next Golden. So there's some mixed information around that. So she was just wondering, you know, how does the 26,000 year cycle align with this? I mean, I'll just say, I think it aligns perfectly. We're at the end of the Kali Yuga, right at the bottom of the Kali Yuga, the like Iron Age, the most closed in our heart. And now we're having this opportunity of this massive, like Pluto infused transformation around the wise crone circle of grandmothers, right? I mean, to me, it's like, oh, amen. They're here to like come in and help us like usher into that transition into the next Yuga, whichever way we're going. And if you don't know what that is, it's just this 26,000 year cycle. Well, the yugas is a whole bigger thing, but like, there's kind of a mixing and matching. But yeah, you go, Kaylin, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say there's different ways that people describe how long each phase of the yuga is, or each yuga is, and some are like the golden age is supposed to be the longest, and then, you know, the silver age less, and the bronze age less, and the iron age is the least longest. That's one version of it. I think Sri Yukteswar speaks about it that way. But then there's others that say they're all equally the same amount of time. and you know, and as you go through from the dark age, you go back to the golden age. I've seen that as well, but others say it's more like a sine wave. So you're like, you go down into the deep dark depths, and then you start coming back out, and then back up into the golden age. So in any case, it doesn't really matter. What matters is what we're doing now and how we're staying present to our opportunities to transmute and transform all lower vibrational energy, anything less than love, into the higher vibrational energy of love, because that's what's going to take us where we're going next.
Yes. Whichever. Yeah, exactly. Tina Maria was asking, will the Venus Alchemy signature course be equivalent to the Living Wisdom of the Inner Planets course at SAMS? And Kaylin, you can speak more, but it's not the same. It does go into the synodic cycle, but it's much more about your personal Venus signature. Like, what's goddess were you born under? What aspects do you have to that? It's much more about your own personal Venus.
And looking at the star phase that you were born in, along with the meta goddess, and really learning how to synthesize all of that. What sign is your sun in? What outer planets affect your Venus? Sorry, and so there's so many different pieces, and it's all on Venus. So that wisdom of the outer planets in or the synodic planet, or the inner planet, sorry, of in the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School, looks at Venus, Mars, and Mercury, and the moon. This is only focused on Venus, and it goes in way deeper than what you get in the other class. So if you feel like you got it from the other class, that's great. If you want to go deeper, this is a great way to do it.
Yes, good. Okay, Brooke raised her hand, so go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hi.
I love this so much. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. I'm starting my Venus return. So I had a question about the signature series that you just mentioned. What does that look like, and how does that work? Because, I mean, is it the class, but then with some added information about your own chart, or what is it exactly?
So basically there's 14 classes. We look at, we go in depth into each meta goddess, into each star phase. There's 4 star phases, and then to the inner star phases, because there's phases within phases. So we go in depth into that, and then and teach you how to figure out that for yourself. We also look at the sun, as that influences how your Venus is manifesting. The moon, because that's your old goddess, and now you're moving to the new goddess energy. So we look at that, and then we look at the outer planets. And I'm trying to think if I'm missing. I think I might be missing something. But anyway, there's specific classes on it, and we teach you how to synthesize that all along. We do 2 live Q&As each year. So if you can join us for that, or send us your questions, we can make sure those get answered in the Q&A. But you should have all the tools you need to figure it out.
Okay, so it's like information that you send. So I would give you my information, and then you send like my birthday and all that, like to know my chart. Is that what
you're going to get a document in the cycle that has all the Venus phases in it. You just look up by your year and your birthday, and you look at the date before your birthday, and it will tell you what phase of the cycle you were born to, what meta goddess you had. So you get all of that. You don't.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and then you can look up anybody, which is really great. I use mine almost every day, which is why it's so handy, because I work with it a lot. Anyways, yeah. So it's a really handy tool.
Essentially, Brooke, it's like there's 2 different classes. So there's like this Venus Capricorn ceremonial journey, where we're going to have these live classes every month going through. And the Venus signature class is pre-recorded, but there are 2 live Q&As that go along with it that will be the ceremonial journey that we're doing live that we've been talking about mostly today isn't going to be diving so much into like your personal Venus, but it's going to be about the whole collective, and people, you can ask questions about your personal things all along the way, just like we're doing right now. But the Venus signature will be more about diving into your own personal Venus, where it is, how it's interacting with the other planets, what's phase of it, all that kind of stuff. So it's like both
separate from the Venus ceremony.
Correct.
Yes.
Exactly.
Classes.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
you can do both. You can do both and bundle them together and get a better rate, just so you know.
Right.
That. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. We'd love to
question.
have you.
Yeah.
Karen has her hand raised. If you would like to unmute yourself. Hi.
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 This is Karen in Tucson. I've been following Venus goddess Kaylin herself for decades. And so this is my year to have, I'm entering my own 8-year Venus return, February 25th. So, and when does the Venus returns class start?
So the first live class is January 23.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah. And so, and that the actual cycle of Venus starts on January 14th, but our first live class is January 23 to prepare for the first gate when she releases her crown chakra, meaning she's letting go of anything that's in the way of her in her own divine authority.
Okay, yes. So that's a 90-minute class, the live.
Yeah. Sometimes they run a little over, just saying.
Yeah.
So,
you can always get the recording. Yeah.
So in the Venus return class, that's over 19 months. It's over a 19.
So Karen, we have the Morning Star. That's 8 different classes. The Morning Star, we look at each gate and prepare and do ceremony and help you do your own ceremony around each gate. Right. For the Morning Star. Then the Venus goes into the underworld for 2 to 3 months. And we do something to prepare you for the underworld time. Sometimes we do something during the underworld. We'll see. And then the Evening Star class starts. And that was December, right, Sheridan? It's December it starts. Mm-hmm. And that goes for 8 months. And then we get towards the end of the cycle. So if you want to do the whole thing, you get a better rate for signing up for all of it. If you want to do it, just see if it's something that aligns for you and works for you, you can just sign up for the Morning Star and then sign up for the Evening Star later if you decide you love us and you can't live without us.
Okay, thank you. Because I wondered, what is the financial donation process for the Morning Star? And then, like, the whole package would be how much?
I don't remember exactly right offhand, but I'll send you a link to the page that has all that information.
Okay.
And it'll be in the show notes with this video as well. So, yeah.
Okay, great. If I could sign up for the Morning Star aspect first, and then later for that last part. But there's a better for the whole thing.
Yes.
And
you save a little money if you do the whole thing, but a lot of times people just don't know if they're going to want to hang in through the whole thing. So it's great to just sign up for the first part of it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So, and what is the time of day of that class? And that 23rd?
Well, it's usually during the day. We usually do it on a weekend, but sometimes during the week. Sometimes if we do it on a weekday, it's a little later in the day, like 4 or 5 o'clock. And Karen, I know you know this, but we live in Arizona, so sometimes we're on Pacific time and sometimes we're on Mountain time. And, starting in March, we're going to be on Pacific time. So, so if it's like, this class started at noon Pacific time, but today it was 1 o'clock Mountain time. And we have to keep track of all that crazy time stuff.
Okay.
It's all on that link, Karen, of when all the individual classes are. And we're trying to alternate because there's people in the US, people in, Europe, and then people in Australia, which if we do the time that works for Europe, then they are in the middle of the night. So we're trying to kind of alternate so people can at least make some of the classes based on their time. But again, it's always recorded so you can have everything going forward. But yeah, and then Rhonda was asking, don't forget that you will get help to figure out, oh, if you're a morning or evening star. Yes, correct. Thank you for Rhonda for adding in what else you learn in the Venus signature classes, what part of the cycle you're born in, the morning star, the underworld, the evening star.
The metamorphic underworld, which is where we are right now.
Exactly, exactly.
Right?
So,
and Karen, you are in the morning star.
I know
about that. You're a morning
that.
star.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you join us.
I plan to. Yes, I plan to.
Okay, cool.
Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you.
One of my beloved elders, Karen. You're one of my.
Oh,
thank you.
Lovely. What else? What other questions do you guys have? Anything else?
Somebody wrote time ? Capricorn. So I don't know if that means, is time connected to Capricorn? I know it's definitely connected to Saturn, because Saturn's also Chronos, and Chronos has to do with time, chronological time. And actually, interestingly, the word crone, we're going to talk about this in our crone video, is connected to the word chronos, or time, and means long-lived when you look at it from that perspective. So I don't know if that's what that person's asking or not, but anyway, yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Rhonda.
Hi. I'm glad you're involved in this, Sheridan. Very nice.
Thank you.
It's been 8 years since I even joined SAMS or knew anything about this whole paradigm. I always read the Celestial Timings, Kaylin. Thank you very much. So I feel like I've been going through an 8-year return. Is that a thing?
I would say yes.
I thought so. Just wanted to make sure.
And you know, I mean, think about what happened in 2013, 2014. And Rhonda, I know you were at our Feywood event that we showed the picture of in the beginning.
Yes, you graciously invited me to come. I had no idea what I was getting into. But
We had no
this
idea
has changed
either.
my life. And I came at the very end at a ceremonial time. It was amazing. It really was. And I'm very grateful.
That was a fun event. It was so amazing. Yeah. Anyway, and I feel like what happens is that, you know, each time we come back around, we come back at a higher octave, but there's still maybe things we need to release, or there's maybe things we've picked up along the way because we, you know, life happens, whatever's going on. And so being able to work with this each time, and literally the Sumerians and the Babylonians did reenact this as a cultural ceremony, and probably for the very same reason, because it's helpful to keep working the mystery, to do the magic, to do the intention, to align with whatever is happening at that particular time. And we know that ancient cultures were so aligned with things like the Venus cycle, or the, you know, we've got also the moon and its outer standstill happening also now up until through 2025 and beyond. So when they built Kalanesh to track when the moon walks the land, and, you know, all of those things. And interestingly, when the moon goes out of bounds, it's usually in late Sagittarius or Capricorn. So, so we've got that happening, or Gemini or Cancer. Anyway, so that's also happening as another sort of Capricornian thing that's going to take place each month, where the moon's going out of bounds when it goes into Capricorn. Like,
I had a hard time wrapping my mind around my personal returns, you know, but then I thought, hey, wait a minute, it's been 8 years and we're back in Capricorn. So I've been meditating on that, and it's very profound for me, which we don't have time to talk about that right now.
I love that.
I'm in the class, so
yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
glad you're joining
come and share.
Yeah.
Because it's like that Saturn return, right? Or Saturn square, Saturn opposition, that it reflects back to the 8-year time from before as well. So I love that you like brought that in.
Okay.
Someone asked, okay, I'm going to say your name and I apologize if I don't get it right. Lideki is asking, her birthday is March of 1991. So she'll be turning 31, but she'll turn 32. So yes, this will be a Venus return cycle for you. You're just born towards the end of the cycle, but the whole cycle is your Venus return. And that's the same, like Brooke, you're asking, or Karen, you're asking, right? Starting January 14th, as soon as Venus rises in the morning sky, it starts your whole Venus return for the full 19 months, no matter where you're born within the cycle. It's still your Venus return for that whole amount of time. So yes, Lideki, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, that you will be in a Venus return starting on the 14th, all the way through till your birthday when you turn 32. Yes.
And it's also age 32 happens to be when you have a Mars return, age 32, 64, and 96. Venus and Mars come back together every 32 years. So it's extra special from that point of view as well. Very exciting. And I'll say my age 32 Venus return was, I didn't know anything about any of this, and it was really challenging. My age 64 was so fun. Because I knew about this and I was working it the whole time. So,
which is another amazing thing about this cycle, is all the Mars Venus coming together, which that only happens every 6 years. So there's a piece part of that, which is part of your signature. So that's lovely.
Indeed. Absolutely. Yeah. So somebody was asking, oh, Frankie Lee, yes. Have you looked into the Daughters of the Eastern Star? You know that I have thought about this because my mother and my grandmother were both Eastern Star and I was a Rainbow Girl. I didn't get as far as the Eastern Star part of it, but I do know that the Eastern Star is Venus in the morning sky. And the Freemasons were very connected into the Venus cycle. In fact, the temple, Solomon's temple that was built in Jerusalem, near Jerusalem, was tracking the Venus cycle, the 8-year Venus cycle. So they built it so that every 8 years, when Venus rose as morning star with the sun at the spring equinox, it would light up the temple doorway all the way back to the Holy of Holies. And they saw that as a very significant time when Venus was rising before the sun at the spring equinox, as did the Sumerians and the Babylonians. They thought that was pretty cool too.
And
so
that it's like inbuilt in this renovation of this country, that it was in there. Like your experience, my mother was a Rainbow Girl for the whole state of Iowa. I grew up without that on the surface, but it was in the way I was shown to be in the world and how to be with people and the earth. There's levels of presence that the feminine has, of course, always been here, you know, that now we're bringing to recognition that's in us, that's in our cellular memories, you know, our generational memories.
yes, I love that, Frankie Lee. I'm getting chills as you're saying that, and I'm realizing my grandmother made me, or she paid for me to go to Cody College, which was the, that was the PEOs, not the Eastern Star. Never mind. She was in another secret order. But you are bringing me this idea, but I would like to know more, because my grandfather was a Mason. My great grandfather was, I don't know if he was a Mason, but he was a Knights Templar chaplain and Grand Commander, which is Knights Templars and the Masons are all interwoven and all of that. So there is something that has been held over, and I think it's in our DNA, as you're saying, and to work with these cycles, because this information has been forgotten for so long, and now it's coming back into our words. I'm getting chills again. Oh my God. Thank you for bringing that up. That is so amazing.
Happy to be with you. This is wonderful what you're all, you know, up to and carrying that forth. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I am not familiar with that, Frankie Lee, but now I am going to look it up. I just made a note. I was like, oh, wow, I got to check that out for sure. Thank you. Levia, I hope I'm saying your name correctly as well. You asked about, shouldn't Venus be in the same place of birth? And it will be. It's just not going to be till towards the end of the cycle for her. but it will be at that point in her Venus return. So yes, your Venus return is over the 19-month cycle, but you'll have a specific time around your birthday where Venus will be at the same place as it was at your birth. That's just the exact moment, but the whole cycle lasts the full 19 months. So you have all that time to work through, you know, taking your sacred feminine expression to the next higher level for yourself.
Yes, and it does return near the birthday, but it won't always be, and often isn't exact on the birthday. It's within a couple of days of the birthday. And as you get older, it's maybe even more than a couple of days, but it's really close around the time. So the sun and Venus are coming back into the same relationship. And that happens every 8 years. So the sun is this, you know, marking the season, what season it's in, and then Venus coming back to be with the sun in that season every 8 years. And as Sheridan's saying, there's 5 19-month cycles every 8 years, and you are born somewhere within one of those. And so this one, you were born in the evening star later in the cycle. And I'm the same way. I was born at the throat chakra gate, which is only 2 more gates after that, sometimes 3. But of that in that cycle. So that means I start my Venus return. Like, for example, I was 30 when I started my age 32 Venus return. I was 38 when I started my age 40 Venus return. I was 54 when I started my age 56 Venus return, because I'm in the later part of the cycle. Some people, like Karen, who's a morning star, the cycle starts, and a month and a half later, she has her birthday, and the Venus return pretty exact. So she's morning star. So everybody's born somewhere in a different place in the cycle. And that's part of your Venus signature, because that all has meaning, that all has intent, and it adds additional understanding to what your Venus is. And I have to say, when I found out I was an evening star Venus in Aries, very fiery, but she's more thoughtful about what she's going to do. She doesn't just jump in and do it. If I was a morning star, it might be a different story, but those kinds of things help us to understand the essence of our Venus in ways that we don't necessarily understand just by looking at the sign Venus is in. It takes it way deeper, gives us more.
There's layers, so many layers to it. Also, I just want to share that Deborah wrote that her husband just shared with her that a snowy owl is being seen in major monuments in DC and all around there the last few days. The wise woman is here, right? That is so perfect. That I love that. Thank you.
Oh,
that's amazing.
Big chills. Oh my gosh, that's so great.
Jeannie asked if she turned 48 last year. Does that mean that her return was part of the previous cycle? Yes, correct. Yep. So you're just finishing your Venus return now. Yeah.
So Faye Bender, you're turning 55 in July. So that means you'll turn 56 in the following July. So you are in your Venus, going into your Venus return. And the age 56 Venus return is extra super amazing.
That's my next one. Yay.
That's the next one. I know. Yeah. We don't have time to tell you why right now, but just trust us. It's a super important one. So yeah.
Okay.
We're getting close to our time. So any quick questions, more questions before we wrap this up?
Yeah, and thanks for all your questions and comments. I appreciate it, because what's we want to like engage and interact with you, right? Not just like pour information out at you. So thank you.
Yeah, and it helps us to see what maybe we missed, or we could have said better, or clarify, or whatever. So, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, once we get the video posted, we will send out a link, and we'll also let you know when we get the other videos done, and send that information to you as well.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
Thank you everyone so much. And just being able to do this with all of you today in this amazing window. We have so much powerful energy that whether you join us or not, we'll just continue to take this into whatever's next for all of us through this next 19 months, and how we're restoring the wisdom of the elders, the grandmothers, the crones, the hags, which means holy, by the way, witch, which means wise, all of that. So, so this is so exciting. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.